When the Civil War began after the bombing of Fort Sumter, the Union had an enormous advantage in manpower and in arms. However, the Confederacy had some other important advantages. This video lecture will take a look at each. First, let's understand who the Union and Confederacy were. The Union was the United States, or at least those states that did not separate, including 5 slave states that did not secede: Missouri, Maryland, Delaware, Kentucky, and the western part of Virginia, now known of course as the state of West Virginia. These 5 states were called the border states. Keeping them within the Union would be an important goal throughout the war. The Confederate States of America consisted of the 11 slave states in the South that did secede, including Virginia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, Mississippi, Arkansas, Texas, and Louisiana. On paper, at least, the Union had an enormous advantage. The population of the North was 18.5 million people, while the Confederacy only had 9 million people, 4 million of which were slaves. Most of the nation's industrial and transportation capacity was located in the North. The North had 22,000 miles of railroads, while the South only had 9,500. The South could grow all the food they needed, but transporting it to their army was going to be difficult. When the war began, the South did not have a single armaments factory to supply their army. Another advantage that the North had was a navy. One of the Union strategies was to use the Navy to blockade southern ports and gain control of the Mississippi River. The plan, nicknamed the Anaconda Plan, would surround the South and slowly squeeze it to death. While the Union Army had obvious material and manpower advantages, the Confederacy had a few strengths of their own which allowed them to achieve success, especially in the early parts of the war. 7 of the nation's 8 war colleges were located in the South, and they produced more capable commanders, most notably Robert E. Lee. For the first few years of the war, Abraham Lincoln could not find an effective general until Ulysses S. Grant emerged as the commander of the Union forces. The military and political objectives of the Union were much more difficult to accomplish. In order to win, the Union had to invade, conquer, and occupy the South. It had to destroy the South's capacity and will to resist. The Confederacy could fight a defensive war, much like the American colonists during the Revolutionary War. If they could hold on and maybe even get recognition from France or Britain, the Union might give up. There were many points throughout the war where people in the North discussed and argued that the North should simply let the South go. Abraham Lincoln refused. A major factor in the North's ultimate victory was the strong leadership of Abraham Lincoln. In the next video lecture, we'll focus on Lincoln's role as Commander-in-Chief and the steps that he took in order to save the Union. Until then, have a great day.